Hello, everyone. My name is Landon. I'm a clinical exercise physiologist and a clinical dietitian. I have over a decade's worth of experience in cardiac and vascular rehab, and I'm so excited to be here with you today and be going over the benefits of exercise and how exercise can really impact so many different things. And I could speak to you here today for hours about just how amazing exercise is, but we only have a little bit of time, so I'm going to try to hit the high notes. If you have any questions, there's lots of great resources in the community. We have the Angelina County Health District, cardiac and vascular rehab at CHI St. Luke's. There's many areas that you can go to find more resources and more information about the benefits of exercise. So today, let's kind of dive into a few big things. One is, we know exercise is good, right? Or most of you have probably heard that exercise is good. But what all can it do for us? What can it do for our bodies? And especially if we have a history of diabetes or maybe other comorbidities, maybe diabetes, heart disease. There's so many different things that exercise can impact. So let's start from the top. There's lots of research out there. If you just did a Google Scholar review of this and just type this in, you would find so much information on the impact of exercise in health and well-being. There was a really interesting study that came out fairly recently, and this was a longitudinal health study. It looked at many different things, and it looked at all different types of risk factors. And the whole purpose of this study was, if we took one risk factor away, what would be the biggest risk factor? What would make the biggest impact on health? And so for instance, taking a smoker and making them a non-smoker, or somebody who had really high blood pressure, getting them on blood pressure medicine, getting that controlled, or maybe somebody who was a couch potato and made them a daily walker or something like that. And what this study found was, looking at all the different risk factors, one of the most influential risk factors for morbidity and mortality was low cardiorespiratory fitness. So low exercise, essentially. Low aerobic fitness was the strongest predictor of mortality in this study. And this study came out several years ago, but you see this in the literature, study after study, just showing the impact and the benefits of exercise. Now, exercise can do many things for our body, and so one thing it can do, and so if we have diabetes or a history of diabetes, or maybe it runs in our family, or maybe we don't have diabetes yet, but our doctor has said, well, hey, we're pre-diabetic. Well, there's lots of things that we can do, and lots of great benefits of exercise on this. So one great thing is that exercise actually improves insulin sensitivity. So not only does it make insulin a little bit easier to unlock the doors of our cells and allow blood sugar to go into them so that our body can use that blood sugar in order to produce energy, what it also does is it actually creates more insulin receptors. Exercise can do that on cells, and this actually helps for the insulin to hook up to those receptors and allow more sugar to come in. It gets it out of our bloodstream and decreases our risk. Because if we have diabetes but we're able to well control our blood sugar, then our risk becomes virtually the same as somebody who doesn't have diabetes, or very close to it. And so that's what we want. We want improvements in insulin sensitivity, improvements on our blood sugar level, and exercise can certainly help you with that. Another awesome thing is that if you do have a history of cardiovascular disease, exercise can actually do something called angiogenesis. And you may have heard your doctor talk about collateral circulation if you have a cardiologist. And what that means is essentially that your body can actually grow more vessels. Your body does something it's called the SAID principle. It's specific adaptations to impose demands. In other words, what I do makes a huge difference to my body. If I'm very active, then my body produces lots of vessels in my body and will actually help me to perform better at the activities that I do every day. But this is very specific to what I do. So let's say I'm a very avid walker or exerciser, I ride my bicycle, then my body prepares itself for those activities. But let's say I don't do those things, and most of my time is spent at a desk or at a computer or something like that, then I don't. My body says, well, we don't really need all this extra muscle. We don't need all these extra vessels. Our body is very specific to what it does and what it provides energy for. This can be a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is that you can respond very quickly to what you do, but the bad thing is your body also responds very quickly to what you do. So if we don't exercise and we're not active, then we may have limitations there. Another fun fact is that you have enough vessels in your body. If we were to stack them end on end, they would go around the earth more than twice. You have over 60,000 miles of vessels all coiled up and wrapped up inside of you. Now, this is variable based on what you do. So the more exercise, the more activity you do, likely the more vessels that you have, providing nutrients to your working muscles. So that's a great thing there. Now, we've talked a lot about exercise and the benefits of exercise, the great things that can happen when you exercise. But what does all this mean? How much do I need? How often? So I'm going to kind of summarize this in something called the FIT principle, okay? And so it's FITT. So we have several different things in this FIT principle that I really want to focus on. One is frequency. Then the I is intensity, and the two T's are time and type of exercise. So frequency, how often do we want to be exercising? And when we do exercise, how intense do we want to do this? So really, more is better. But we really want to at least get 3 to 5 days per weekend of activity. If we can do something every day and be physically active, well, of course, that's going to be the best. But at least 3 to 5 days to get the best benefit. I mean, if you're busy, you have a busy schedule, maybe you've got kids or a really busy job, trying to get at least 3 to 5 days in a week will really benefit you. And now the intensity of exercise, so how do you know how intense you're exercising? There's all kinds of gadgets and gizmos nowadays that will kind of walk you through this. You could get a heart rate monitor, lots of different things, but I'm going to give you something really simple. If you are going for a walk and you want to do moderate intensity exercise, that's what we're shooting for. How do we know we're there? Well, if you're going for a walk and you can sing while you're exercising or while you're doing it, then you're doing light intensity exercise. Now, don't misunderstand me. Exercise won't help you to sing better. I've tried and it has done no good for me. But if you go on a walk and you have enough wind to carry a tune, then you're doing light exercise or light intensity exercise. And we want you in the moderate zone to get all the benefits that I've talked about. And so moderate intensity exercise is a level where you can actually talk while you're exercising. Now, not carry on a long-winded conversation, but you can tell you're breathing heavier, your heart rate and breathing are elevated. And you can tell that, but it's not so much that you're having to gasp for breath while you do it, if that makes sense. I want you to be able to tell that you have an elevated heart rate and breathing, but not so much that you're gasping. Now, if you do have to gasp for breath, then you're probably doing vigorous intensity exercise or really high intensity exercise. And we don't want you doing that unless you have doctor's approval to do that, especially if you've got a lot of risk factors and different comorbidities. It's always best to check with your physician before starting any type of vigorous program. But moderate intensity exercise, that's going to be great for most people, and that will get you some good benefits. So we talked about frequency, we talked about intensity, time. We want you at least to get the most benefit, at least 30 minutes most days per week, the 3 to 5. That 30 minutes is going to give you a ton of benefits. And it kind of is the golden window there. So if we get less than 30 minutes a day, we don't seem to get all the benefits that I've talked about. And there's so many more that we could discuss. Or 150 minutes a week. So 30 minutes a day, 150 minutes a week. And if you do the math, that is about 5 days at 30 minutes. Each day will get you that 150 minutes, and that'll give you some great benefits. Now, the type of exercise, I want you doing lots of different types of exercises, of course, but one of the primary things is cardiovascular exercise, especially if you have a history of cardiovascular disease. That can really help to improve your vascularization and improve blood flow, and so we certainly want that. And then it can also help tremendously with blood sugar control. And then another thing is strength training. Strength training is great, and it's great to do that a few days per week. And then again, cardiac rehab or a personal trainer or even many different resources in the community here can really help you to fine-tune that a little bit more. But those are some good strategies for what we want to do. And then the last thing I want to talk about is kind of concerns. So if you're exercising, what is something that you want to be mindful of if you do have diabetes or prediabetes when you do go and exercise? And one of those things is, well, I don't want my blood sugar dropping too low because exercise, like I said, will make insulin a lot more sensitive. It will help your body to clear out that blood sugar from your bloodstream. Well, we don't want that to happen too fast because if it does, if you have diabetes and you've experienced that when your blood sugar drops very quickly or drops too low, then you will feel all kinds of symptoms. You might begin to feel nauseousness, cold sweat, all kinds of things can happen. And I don't want you feeling bad, and I want to make sure that you don't have any further deterioration of that blood sugar. So it's always smart to carry something with you. And if you do have a continuous glucose monitor, monitor, or if you have, if you're checking your blood sugar with finger sticks. However you do it, it's always good to check your blood sugar before you exercise, especially if you know that you have very variable blood sugar readings at times. And you want to check it before, and you want to make sure your blood sugar is at least at 100. If it's at least at 100 milligrams per deciliter, that's right where we want you to be at. If it's that or above, slightly above, we don't want you to be much less than that, because exercise will drop blood sugar, and it can drop it quite a bit. And if you're around 100 or higher, that's great, right where we want you to be. And it's also very important to carry something with you too. You want to make sure you have something with some glucose in it or some sugar in it. So a piece of candy or even some juice is great, just in case it drops too low. And you do want to eat a snack before you exercise, something that's got some protein and carbohydrates in it. That will help to slow how quickly that blood sugar is released in your body. That protein kind of helps to slow things down so that we can have a steady release of blood sugar in our body. And as we exercise, things won't drop and crash too fast. So that's just some things to be mindful of when you do exercise. If you have diabetes or pre-diabetes, or you have some big blood sugar swings. And I want to leave you with kind of a challenge, a personal challenge, and everybody's got a lot of different things going on in their lives. We have lots of stress and work and job, kids, all kinds of different things. But if we could just get 30 minutes of exercise a day out of the 24 hours, if we could just take 30 minutes and be physically active, or even 15, and do that maybe a couple times a day, there are so many benefits that could be seen. And I hope that for you. I hope that you can start and begin to get 30 minutes of exercise in as often as possible, so that you can reap all these wonderful benefits that we've been talking about today. Thank you so much for your time and for this opportunity.